you see in India, there is no company who is actually catering the US market. So after that, I gaining interest in pharmaceutical field because there's a cause actually, because we'll be saving a lot of millions of people actually around the world. Every vaccine actually is considered a new drug. They need to follow the full pathway to approval. Even the clinical trials requires millions of dollars actually. So that's why like not all manufacturers can afford any approval you need. Regulatory affairs professional come into picture. So basically, he's the face of the company with among the regulatory affairs. But still, the old methods are still valid and for the older vaccines. But current scenario, there are a lot of advanced techniques have come and there are a lot of changes as well. What I suggest to the youngsters or pharma professionals, choose the right pathway in life. Like obviously, if you are in a pharmaceutical field, there's a reason, right? There's a cause. You will be saving millions of lives, I would say, in the world.
Hello everyone, welcome to Pharma Now. So on today's session, we have very interesting personality. We have Varma Bhupathiraju from Biocon. He is leading a regulatory affair department as a AVP, right? So Mr. Varma, welcome to Pharma Now. First, I would like to really understand like AVP regulatory affair. It sounds like a very big role. Can you decode this role for us?
Yeah. Anyway, let me start as you introduced, currently I'm working as Associate Vice President, Regulatory Affairs in Biocon Biologics. As a very new stint I started there.
Correct.
So I moved into Biocon Biologics this March.
Oh.
So prior to this, I was registered with companies like Biologically Limited in Hyderabad.
Right.
Prior to that, I was with Serum Institute of India, Pune.
Oh, you're in Pune?
Yeah, Pune. Oh. Yeah. So there I was there for almost 5.5 years.
Okay.
So before that, I was working with companies like Aurobindo Pharma, Gland Pharma.
Wow,
So
all
it's
big
been
names,
almost
yeah.
it's been almost 22 years of experience I have now. So mostly I started my career with I would say bulk drug manufacturing company initially. So there I was working for 1 year. So then I moved to Gland Pharma Limited as a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. It's one of the renowned company in especially in the parenterals field. So the first US FDA approved PFS facility in India.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think a very renowned company. So I was there in quality assurance there for 3.5 years or so. So then I moved on to Aurobindo Pharma, which is again one of the renowned company in solid oral dosage forms.
Correct.
Solid orals, liquid orals as well. So I was there for 3 years. I was into again plant regulatory. I was into compliance department.
So from QA, you moved to compliance department.
Yeah,
now.
compliance.
That's where you started with the compliance.
Yeah, compliance, and of course it's called as plant regulatory, I would say.
Okay.
So from plant side, we used to maintain all the regulations and then support the actual regulatory affairs department. So after my stint in Aurobindo, I just moved to Serum Institute of India, a Pune-based vaccine manufacturing company. I think world,
Yeah, knows there.
no, yeah. So I was there. I moved to regulatory affairs there.
Okay.
So that's where the main reason for me to shift from quality assurance to regulatory is because, as you know, regulatory affairs is the key function in any product approval. So they are basically the face of the company to the regulators. So that's how I started my career in regulatory affairs from Serum Institute of India. There I was responsible for registering our vaccines in maybe more than 140 countries around the globe. So which includes almost all regions where, except of course US and Europe, because if you see in India, there is no company who is actually catering actually US market. So because of obvious reasons like maybe the kind of trials required or maybe
FDA
the requirements. So yeah, there are several reasons basically. So that's the reason. No Indian vaccine manufacturer is targeting US for now. Of course, nowadays, like after COVID, I think people started exploring US opportunities as well. So there I was working for around 5.5 years. So after that, I moved to Biologically, where actually I learned most in the, I was involved from the development of the vaccine. So basically from Serum Institute of India, where I was as a deputy manager, I joined there as an AGM, as a senior manager, and then I grown periodically for almost every now and then. Like I changed my roles, almost 5 roles there in biologically. So I was one of the fortunate person in bio who had an actually opportunity to basically involve in each and every development activity, like starting from the POC, proof of concept, and then the preclinical stage, all relevant regulatory approvals wherever it is needed. So I was part of it, like almost all key vaccines.
Wow.
So then preclinical development and then clinical development, different phases of clinical trials, and then obviously like the licensing pathway. So not only that, in as you know, like in pharma field, so not only approval, but also you need to maintain the life cycle. So there will be a lot of changes in the process as well as specifications. So we need to maintain them as well. So I was involved in almost all activities. I was heading the regulatory affairs there, and recently I moved to Biocon Biologics. Again, the purpose is like since my previous experience was completely into tablets, capsules, and then vaccines. I thought that what is left in my career is the biosimilars. So that's why I choose Biocon Biologics.
Okay.
So as you know, like Biocon Biologics is one of the, I mean, I would say the largest biosimilar vaccine globally, recognized globally. So now, I mean, I think I'm not sure whether people are aware, Biocon Biologics also acquired one of the Viatris biosimilar portfolio. So after that, we wanted to expand in, I mean, like big actually. So we have been supplying our biosimilar products to, and of course later in insulins also. As you know, like insulins is like a diabetic profile, right? So there are a lot of molecules in insulin portfolio as well. So we have been supplying biosimilars as well as insulins
Okay.
to the world. So it includes even US, Europe.
Wow.
So in a way is a utmost satisfaction because in the monoclonal antibodies like biosimilars, we developed certain anti-cancer drugs like breast cancer or osteoporosis kind of a thing, or maybe neck cancer, these kind of things. Like I'm fortunate to be part of now Biocon Biologics. I would like to continue here for some time, of course. And this is not an easy job actually. Initially, if you take my career, initially I thought of going into a software field actually. So in fact, I completed my initial courses in Java also way back in 2000. So at the time, literally, that was the need of the hour kind of a thing. If you know the concept of Java, wanted for US. That kind of an situation was there in year 2000. But at the time there was a, because of the recession or maybe global slowdown of the software. So then I shifted to pharma field since I was basically from pharma. So after that I started gaining interest in pharmaceutical field because there's a cause actually, because we'll be basically saving a lot of millions of people actually around the world. So that's why I choose to continue that, and I'm just continuing from the past 20 years.
Fantastic.
So,
Fantastic. I think this
so
must be a great journey.
yeah.
So a quick question. So I think you have moved various brands, right? And you have handled so many other different types of products, right? From vaccine, drugs, biosimilars now. So as a regulatory portfolio, or rather as a lead of RA division, what difference you found in all these
Between the products,
between the products?
I would say more than between the companies, more than different formula, different types of products basically. So the kind of regulations in, if you see in the pharma, like tablets, capsules, they're actually little bit relaxed, I would say, because these are all oral solid oral dosage forms, right? So where they don't require any clinical trial per se. So that the what they generally generic manufacturers do, they will take some innovator and then just simply follow the same, their formulation and then develop the product. They need not conduct extensive clinical studies kind of a thing. There is no concept of clinical trials for these generic products.
Okay.
So basically what they will do, they will just simply use the formulation reference and then show the bioequivalence. So bioequivalence, like in a less number of subjects, obviously, like they will just prove that the product is able to match the innovator profile. So yeah, so mainly the concept of dissolution or even of course other content uniformity, all these things like. So once that is done, obviously the time period required for approval of a ANDA product, like we'll call them generics as a ANDA from US point of view. So abbreviated new drug application. There the timelines are very short actually. So that's why if you see like most of the Indian manufacturers, so they work on solid orals or liquid orals. So whereas in the case of vaccines, which is my next actually my profile actually, which my previous profile. So there what happens is like every vaccine actually is considered a new drug. So new drug means like even though there are already vaccine manufacturers available, so what happens is like they need to conduct the full path, they need to follow the full pathway to approval. So full pathway meaning they need to first establish the proof of concept, and then they have to go for preclinical development. So wherein again for vaccines, like preclinical means like is a challenging topic as well. So there as per law and regulations, they have to conduct a single dose toxicity and a repeat dose toxicity kind of a thing study. This requires extensive development, characterization, and of course it has to be proven safe in the animals first. Animals meaning again like small animals initially, like rats, mice, and then rabbits. These kind of animals we need to evaluate in the trials. Once that is proven, then only you will be allowed to go to the humans. So again in clinicals also you have to go for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So in phase 1 obviously generally the objective is to prove the safety. So it will be in very less number of subjects basically. Most of the manufacturers will go in not less than 10, 20 subjects. So that first they will prove the safety in healthy volunteers. Once that is proven, so then you are allowed to go for phase 2 and 3. So suppose if it is an already approved vaccine, so we may not need to conduct the phase 2 study, because what happens is phase 2 is mainly for the dose finding study.
Okay.
So dose finding study meaning like you will evaluate different concentrations, different strengths, and this kind of stuffs, right? So for already approved vaccine, probably you may not do a phase 2 study. So that's why people what they will do phase 3 study directly, like we'll call it as phase 2 by 3 study, like that. So in which actually they will select the right population, like which is intended for the intended age group, no, that will be included. Like so their vaccine, as you know, like is not like pharmaceutical product. Pharmaceutical product, what it said, like it will be used when as a reactive based approach, right? But whereas vaccine is an immunogenic component, so wherein it will prevent to have that disease in the future basically. There may be different kinds of vaccines, like if it's bacterial vaccine or viral vaccines or maybe subunit vaccines, different kinds of vaccines.
Right.
So these are all different topics. Like basically once again, as I said, like phase 3 designing of the studies is again challenging. So once that is done, again you have to go for marketing authorization, which is the licensing approval. What I was saying also is like the regulations between India and Western world is also almost so similar, but the kind of regulatory pathway in India, what happens is like in here, there will be multi-tier approval system. Like there will be multiple agencies involved in approving a product. Let's take for example a vaccine. So what happens is like initially you have to get a license for development of a product.
Correct.
So you need to get that license, then develop the product. Once that is done, you need to generate the data as per the requirement. You need to submit to the regulatory authorities for approval. And then parallelly, CDSCO will send us, ask us to send the product to Central Drug Laboratory, which is again under central government, central regulatory authorities, this one. And then they will test and release the product.
Correct.
Once that is released, then only the product should be used in the clinical trial.
Correct.
So this kind of pathway is like lengthy, and if you say like pre-COVID situation, so it always takes anywhere between 8 to 12 years for development, for the product to be available in the market.
Correct.
So whereas in COVID, I think there were a lot of, I think accelerated pathways were followed, and regulators also accepted interim data to approve the product. So this how actually there is a transformation in the approval process. But what the industry also is seeking is that if they can extend this for the rest of the products, then that will be great. So coming to the current profile which I am handling, so where I move to biosimilar product is like wherein basically biosimilars means like similar to our pharma product, where in my initial career I was mentioning, right, ANDA. So where the product will be assessed against the innovator. So similar way here also the product will be assessed at the innovator. So but here the phase 1, phase 3 studies are required, but with a different this one we can rely on the innovators clinical trial, and we have to match in terms of clinical as well as CMC. We need to match the product exactly with the innovator.
Correct.
So this is again challenging here actually. This where like, and for the characterization involves huge cost. Even the clinical trials in requires millions of dollars actually. So that's why like not all manufacturers can afford and of course have patience in developing these vaccines.
Correct.
I mean biosimilars. So that's how I mean since this is not part of my journey, I thought that I should explore that, and I moved here. So currently I'm continuing this, and obviously I mean what I suggest to the youngsters or pharma professionals. So choose the right path way in life. Like obviously, and if you are in a pharmaceutical field, you are there's a reason, right? There's a cause, right? You will be saving lots of lives and millions of lives, I would say, in the world. So if you are choosing, just choose the right opportunity, and also please keep ethics in mind. So obviously, like you should follow good principles, and then don't compromise anything on the quality, and of course which will eventually basically end product will be very good, right? If you follow the quality and the safety, I mean obviously safety and efficacy will be good. So there is a concept of quality by design. Generally what happens is like if you design the process perfectly, then obviously rest of the things will fall in place. So that's how I'll suggest the pharma professional to choose the field in, so that at least you will be one of the recognizable person in the field.
Correct. That's wonderful. Just a quick question here. Like you explained the complete process, how it works in terms of vaccine, in terms of biosimilar, but what is the role of regulatory affair in this? Like the person position like you, what exactly your role in this?
Yeah, I mean, as I was mentioning, basically regulatory affairs is such a function who is the face of the company among the regulators.
Oh,
For any product that you want to develop, you want to get an approvals, right? Certain approvals. Any approval you need, regulatory affairs professional come into picture. So basically, he is the face of the company with among the regulatory affairs. Regulatory.
so all
legal
documentation
authorities.
part. So let's say coordination with CDSO or coordination with FDA or anyone.
Anything, we will be the face of the company.
Okay.
Uh,
And
so
similarly, the audits will be done by your side.
generally, audits, no, like depends on again company. Like some companies, maybe QA people will handle the audit, and some companies probably regulatory will lead the audit, and then of course all cross-functional team support. It depends on company to company, but we will be definitely involved because the inspections will be arranged by us, and of course whoever is facing with this QA, regulatory, or of course the corresponding cross-functional team also will face the audit. So once the audit is successful, so obviously they will issue a report. So a company has to respond to the observations if there are any. So then the regulators also should satisfy with the response. Then only the audit will be closed. So this is a lengthy process basically.
So and nowadays, like of course after COVID, regulators are also becoming very vigilant on various aspect. So how's the current landscape? How it is changing? Are they adopting new techniques? Are they adopting global policies? How the regulators are?
I'll tell you probably, in the traditional vaccines, if you see in the previous scenario, what happened is like most of the animal assays were being used to assess the quality of the product. So there, a lot of animals are required. Like suppose, let's take, for childhood immunization, we'll be using like pentavalent kind of a vaccine, like diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, combination vaccines, right? So there, they require a lot of animals. But if you see in the past, like maybe past couple of decades, so there are newer vaccines coming, like polysaccharide vaccines or conjugate vaccines or some other thing. So wherein the methods for assessment are not based on animals basically.
Okay.
So these are more sophisticated and of course most reliable and most accurate methods, I would say. But still the old methods are still valid for the older vaccines. But in the current scenario, there are a lot of advanced techniques have come, and there are a lot of changes as well. And regulators also, not like before, basically they're also discussing with the industry to understand the challenges, and sometimes they're also in the guiding. And of course, we also follow internationally, like how and I mean, MNC companies are working, obviously. So they have some already visibility on the regulatory approval process. So similar kind of things, even Indian regulators are also following. If you see like maybe CDSCO, so way back in 2005 and 10 time frame, so not many regulations were so stringent and all. So but they transformed a lot actually, like especially now in COVID also, they have evaluated several vaccine candidates. So obviously they also gain a lot of knowledge, and they also get frequent trainings from premium regulatory authorities. So that's how they have also developed. So it's helping the industry in a way. But a lot of simplification can be made still in India.
So and we are traveling rather driving towards that more simplification.
Correct.
Right. That's really wonderful, Mr. Verma. So yeah, so I think you already talked about how the landscape is, and so do you feel that India has the potential further to become a global exporter for vaccines and other biosimilars and various types of drugs?
100%. Because if you see COVID, I would say, when other than US and Europe, the rest of the world is saved by India. Because initial days, so US and European manufacturers who has developed the initial version of the COVID vaccines, they were only developing, supplying to those countries. So whereas India, like basically if you see all other manufacturers from India, like vaccine manufacturers, they serve the country, world actually. So India has a huge potential, and more than that, like huge capacities. So and huge expertise. So there are three big manufacturers in India, like maybe whether you take Serum Institute of India, Biologically, or Bharat Biotech, or even Pan Asia. So these manufacturers are like basically enhancing this. They're actually manufacturing capabilities as well. So and they're also adding new portfolio there. Okay, so it's definitely India is.
But Indian manufacturers, are they complying with the stringent FDA?
Manufacturing regulations wise, if you see, like Indian manufacturers are nowhere less than any other MNC companies. So, but only thing is like the way how the outsiders look may be different, but actually, it's doing pretty
time
good.
to change the outlook.
Yeah, of course. There's a need.
That's wonderful. Great. Mr. Verma, I think it was really pleasure talking to you and having insights about the regulatory affairs, how things are moving in, and how RA is really creating an impact on the complete process, right? And making this country more proud. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your conversation and
Thanks for your invitation as well. Thanks.
Perfect.